Yeah, but you know, a lot of times you see government officials who are in a position to give money to jurisdictions usually end up taking money. And what's the first thing? And it's usually the people on the right side. Is what's the first thing they usually end up taking from? They usually take from the school system, the education,
exactly,
and put that money in other places. And who suffers? The kids. And we can sit right here, and I don't want to call our town out, but I will, because I know a little bit about this. But a lot of times, the money that they do get gets dispersed to certain schools. And I'll use Henrico County as an example. Henrico County, for those people who are listening to us in Ohio and in Georgia and Jersey City and Delaware and Maryland, and we see y'all on the Facebook page, and we appreciate the input that you're getting us. 804-447-0601. Henrico County is split. Henrico County is the county that surrounds Richmond.
Mm-hmm.
The eastern part of Henrico County is predominantly minority. The western part of Henrico County is predominantly white. If you look at the schools and you look at the facilities in those schools, the schools in the eastern part of Henrico County have schools that are not doing quite as well. The facilities aren't as up to par. If you look at the facilities in the schools in the western part of Henrico County, those schools have higher scores, largely because those schools have greater facilities.
Yep.
So if we're talking about one county, why are we talking about disparate supplies and disparate facilities and things of that sort being sent to one part of the county versus the other? So when we're looking at education, the first thing I want to know is, why does certain schools get certain amounts of money and others don't? The first thing that comes to mind, and it's not what you may think, because that sounds like I set it up to be a race issue, where it very likely is not. Basically, who comes to the school board meetings? Who are the ones that are going and voting when it comes time for something to be done? When you have money that can be dispersed, if you look at the schools in the eastern end and you look at some of the meetings that they have after hours at the schools or whatever, they're not quite as full as those schools in the western. And guess what? They're the ones that are getting the money. So before we get upset, like I said, I set it up that way. I set it up that way on purpose.
Almost definitely.
Before we get upset and we want to point our finger and say, "Ooh, look at the white kids getting what we ain't getting." Hey, look, I'm sure that might be part of it. Hey, everything is a race thing, whether you want to agree with it or not. But before we even go there, let's look at the fact that these people are coming out and they're voting and they have an opinion about what happens in the school where their children are being taught. Are the people in the minority areas doing that? Not as much. And again, I live with an educator, so this is not something that I'm speaking from an area of ignorance. I know a little bit about this, and these are the conversations that happen at the J House. So, what do we think about that, gentlemen?
I look at it like this: you have just had a 500 million lottery. Of that, how much are the schools going to get? Of that, how much will the schools really see in retrospect to getting that money and then facilitating that money? I know for a fact that, well, I don't know for a fact. I'm hoping for a fact that the money gets to where it needs to go and that the teachers can get a raise and things of that nature. That's my biggest hope for that money.
Ms. J is listening to the show at home. Thank you, honey. Thanks for listening. She wants to get in on this discussion, which is right in her wheelhouse. She's basically saying, how do you assess teachers without standardized tests? How do you fairly assess teachers based on student products? It's locally, mostly from state, and definitely not the federal. And she also piggybacked on what I said. It's the parents, east side of county, actually have higher budgets. So basically, she kind of piggybacked on what I said. And I did not see these comments as I was going through and saying what I was saying. A lot of times, the people are not coming out. They're not coming out to the meetings. They have more money, but they're not coming out, so they can't actually spend it. We got a caller on the line. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, Marcus, it's Mike. How are you, sweetie?
Hey, that's Jersey City, everybody. Everybody that's listening.
We missed you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. This is Jersey City on the line. How you doing, girl?
I'm all right.
All right.
My heart is like pounding a mile a minute right now because this is a touchy subject for me.
Well, let's hear it.
I just got my associate's degree in early childhood education because I feel like not too many of these teachers, care too much about, well, I'm not going to say too many, but pretty much the ones that I've seen don't really put in effort to helping these kids out. They're just, they're collecting the check and keeping it going. When 3 o'clock comes, it's like, all right, it's my time to go. But a real teacher's going to keep teaching well past that 3 o'clock shift. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the thing about you were saying about the parents not going to the meetings and stuff like that, it's also an economic kind of issue because some of these parents got to work 1, 2, 3 jobs and they can't, they're really not there for the kids in the house. Not that they don't want to be there for the kids, but it's because they can't. Financially, they have to do what they have to do to be able to, provide for these kids. So it's not that the parents don't care. It's an economic issue for some parents. For some others, they don't really care about what's going on in the school. They just send the kids to school because they have to. They want somebody to be watching their kids so they can do whatever it is that they're doing outside of the school. You know what I mean? So this is like a topic that'll keep going and going and going and going.
What do you think about?
Everything that we can do is, the future teachers of tomorrow, just if your heart is in it, then go for it. If your heart isn't really there, pick another career.
That's the tough. That's the tough part, and we commend you here on Ain't No Half Steppin' for going back and getting your associates and wanting to make a difference, because we need people like you who want to be there to be training our youth, because that's what it's all about. When we're gone, we got to look back at the people behind us, and if we don't have confidence that they're going to be able to take us forth into the next generation, we're gonna be in bad shape, and it's a scary prospect.
Yep, it begins with the little kids. When you show the little kids that education is a great thing, then they take that with them to the next level, and that teacher needs to teach the kids education is a great thing, and then they'll take it to the next level. It keeps going and going and going. You know what I mean? And a lot of these kids don't see that. I don't know. They just see easy money in the street. They don't really care about their education, and it's like, where did we go wrong? I
think a lot of it has to do with examples, and somewhere in the last couple of generations, the example was lost of how important it is to go to school, get an education, get a job, a legitimate job, make money, take care of your family and things of that sort. And it's scary. It's unfortunate, like you said, because we can sit here and we can debate what the educators are doing wrong, but a lot of it has to do with what happens at home before the kid even gets to the school. Because if the teacher spends most of the time disciplining the child, then they have a difficult time teaching. If they have an agenda of 10 things they need to get through in a day, but they only get through 6 of them because little Johnny's in the corner wilding out, that's 4 that he needs to put on tomorrow. Now he's got 14 to get over tomorrow because he didn't get through 4 today, and then tomorrow he only gets through 8. And then that 6 gets put over to the next day, and the cycle continues to build and build and build. And just like Big Rube said, if you're not even teaching it, you're just teaching them how to memorize stuff for a standardized test so that you can get money, so that you can keep your program going. But all you're doing in your program is teaching kids how to memorize for a standardized test. It's difficult.
Right.
It's difficult. Maida, thank you so much for calling. We appreciate your support. We know you listen. You send us notes online a lot. It's your first time calling. We appreciate the support. Keep listening. Tell your friends about Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
I will. Thank you, big boss. See you soon.
You got it. Peace.
Take care of yourself. Bye.
You got it. She made some good points, and I want to commend her. She's a friend of mine. She and I go back a long way, and this is someone who went back to school because she saw what was going on in the school. She wasn't happy about it, right. So she went back to school so that she can become an educator, so she can make a difference. And those are the kind of people that we like, and I'm proud of her as a host of the show, but I'm proud of her as my friend. So you guys want to pick up on that? Anything you want to add before we move on, Big Road?
Sorry about that. I think she said it really good, and I think that a lot of issues come from the home, and a lot of parents got to do what they got to do in order to get done what needs to get done. However, the government is still at fault for some of it. And I just hope that whether it be this election or the next election or the election after that, one day we can all stand up and let everybody know, hey, look, it's time to get the education that our kids need in the school system, because it's not fair for them to get what we didn't get. To not get what we got, when really they deserve to get it even better.
We're going to leave it there. Have Steppin with Marcus J. We're going to take a quick break right here. When we come back, we're going to do a really quick recap of the Trayvon Martin case, and then we're going to get into the rants and the closings. Ain't no half Steppin. Marcus J. Be back in a minute.